if you want to demolish a building, a skyscraper or any other huge structure that was built solidly and it has all these safeguards in place, basically if you plant your explosives on certain floors in certain places, they will cause damage, but they will not bring down the structure, right? So what do you have to do to bring down the building? You have to go and actually look at the blueprints, look at the points that provide the stability for the whole structure. That's where you have to go. You have to get to the pillars that keep it all up. And that's where you plant your explosives. And you can have a fast explosion, right? Where you hit all the explosives at once, and that's when the building comes down and it just collapses in and of itself. What we're seeing and what is happening in our world today is they've put explosives over time exactly where those structural pillars are, but they're not pushing them all at once. They're letting one explode, they're letting the other explode, and the other explode, and the other explode. And eventually there is a domino effect. Eventually you hit that one pillar where the rest starts falling in and there's no saving it, right? And this is what is being done to this system currently. The interesting thing, and perhaps for the first time in our shared history, the opponent or the enemy or the dark forces, whatever you want to call them, they're doing the exact same thing that we're doing. We're also working on bringing the system down. A system that we have come to learn has deceived us, lied to us, led us away from who we truly are, and enslaved us. So many of you have known this, felt this all your lives. You felt the falsehood in it all. With the work that we all do together and the work that these dark forces are doing, basically we're working at bringing this down. However, and it's the crux of it all, they're prepared to bring in a whole new system that is supposed to replace this. And they have it all planned out. They have everything in place for it to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen this way. But what I will say is we are coming to the end of this current cycle. I believe sooner rather than later, that crucial pillar will fall down. And look at previous systems that have collapsed. There were signs and there were little collapses along the way over years. And then all of a sudden, one thing happened and it brought the whole thing down. It's like a domino effect that can't be stopped. And we don't know when that will happen. The truth is, we don't know when that piece will fall. But we do know it will fall because we know the intention is there and the actions are there. And I believe we're coming close. It will be like a tsunami that can't be stopped anymore, like a shockwave through the whole system. It's a lot like an economic depression or recession, with the distinct difference that it now doesn't just economically include all levels of our society, but it also morally and spiritually moves everything. And that's what we're seeing. Every aspect of our shared society is being attacked. Here's the important part. What we aim to do together is to empower ourselves to be not just ready for a tough transitioning period that we're in some ways already in, but nothing like what's coming, but actually lead it, actually guide it, actually show already in place structures that will help people jump on board with a beautiful timeline and vision, as opposed to the dystopian AI controlled timeline. If we provide the alternative and if we help people now to empower themselves, to find that true authentic voice within them, to find what purpose for them means, to build structures for themselves and their families where they are not just prepared, but they feel like they have a grip on their own lives and they can actually decide their fate, if you will. We all actually wanted this to happen. We all know this system wasn't built for our benefit. Yes, we have material wealth, nothing like anyone that's alive has ever seen, but at the same time, we have such a mental health epidemic and people are suicidal by the hundreds of millions. We have broken relationships. We have broken health on all levels. We have broken health of the earth. So to call this the pinnacle of our human evolution, I think is cynical. I mean, people have felt this way before 2020, way before this massive attack. They felt like they're in a hamster wheel and they can't get out, and it's all about paying bills and forms and taxes and all that. And frankly, it just was never a system built for us. And so when I say the end is near, it's not a doomsday scenario. It's not about pushing fear. It's really looking logically and making the calculations and looking at crucial points in the system. Finances, food, medicine, science, they are all at the brink, at the verge of collapsing. And it's on purpose, yes, but nonetheless, it's going to happen. And a lot of people are going to be caught off guard, and a lot of people are going to be in panic. And many of those we can't currently reach. But many of the people that are already on board and already know this is coming and already want to build something new, that's the ones we really want to speak to. Look at your most basic needs in life, the necessities, and then ask yourself, how independent am I with these necessities? Am I growing my food? Do I have access to fresh water? Do I have access to warmth and power? And then there are, of course, many subcategories of this. Do I have access to seeds, land to grow? Do I know people that grow? Farmers market. We talk about these things so much because we anticipate a time where you won't be able to go to the grocery store and satisfy your most basic food and water needs. We anticipate a time where these things will only be available to those who sign on to the new system. That's the logical way to look at things. But there's another aspect to this, and that is before we take care of our outer needs, even before that, we need to find that authentic place in ourselves that is not fear, that is not just doing something to prevent something else. It does not know panic, because it is connected to your true spirit, the thing that lives on beyond this human body. It's lived before, it's going to live beyond it. It knows no fear, but it's a perfect guide because it naturally supports life. It is ultimate life, and so it ultimately supports life. So it's going to give you all these intuitions and inspirations and ideas of what you can do and how you can do it, and it's going to be your guiding light. But you need to connect with that part rather than the reptilian brain that the mainstream everything wants you to live in. This reptilian brain that is purely fear, survival, fight or flight driven, right? That's where they want to keep you in, because that's where you're controllable. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about true authentic self. That is the spirit. And when people live in the spirit, I mean, they're very, very empowered, and they're beyond the programming. We have so much to live for. With so much to co-create together. It's such a beautiful future, it's such a beautiful potential. Because we're moving into a new way of thinking, new way of envisioning, and we're unleashing this together. And the future, I mean, it's unlimited of how good it can get. That's what I truly believe. More dedicated than ever to provide authentic, truthful, and uncensored information and inspiration. That's why we created the Inspired community on the free speech platform Locals. There's no censorship, a free flow of information, and it's more personal and intimate. And you can join us as a free member or a paid supporter. Please visit inspired.locals.com and join us today.